When a child is born, it comes with its full potential. What mistakes we make, that those full potentials, or whatever the potential the child has, instead of improving, they decreases. First thing to understand would be that child is not coming with full potentials. It's coming as whatever the karma it had. And when we leave the body, that time we have that imprint in us, and that becomes our prarabdha, the karma of the past life. So we come with that. Now, instead of improving what the godlike things the child has, it get decreased. The innocence we has, the purity, the love, all those decreases. First thing should be that when we go for birth, conceiving a child, before that, the time should be spent in preparing the body by both the partners, because something very loving, very gracious, very divine we want to have, then if we are quarreling, fighting, running behind ambitions, running behind money or sex, then what we are, the child is going to come like that. The first thing is the body mind should be prepared at least for a year or so. If the mother can take leave and work only on herself, that's a big blessing. Whosoever can afford this, that would be so nice. If not for a year, at least for 3 months, or whatever best possible. Living in an environment of nature, eating as much as possible organic, and having the lifestyle organic, thinking should be changed from negative to positive. Our emotions should be released first, whatever deep down hiding. They should be transformed into positive emotions. On body mind preparation part, there should be daily routine for the exercise, the routine for the diet, a proper sleep, And if one can do one Ayurvedic Panchakarma to regenerate the whole body, that is another blessing. And becoming more spiritual or towards truth, that mindset would invite the child of divine nature. So if you want to produce Ram Rahim or of that nature, that divine child, then our preparation has to be divine as well. An important time of when conceiving the child or going for love making process, in that one should be utterly joyful, the mind should be relaxing, and processes can be done by which the mind can be dropped. Two bodies, they don't remain two. Like right now is a time where the love making is outsourced. The man has its representative, the woman has its representative, and both representatives are meeting, not the two inner being. These representatives should be dropped, that ego should be dropped, that mind should be dropped. And like the snake, these kundalini, the both are merging in each other. So then they are not two different bodies, they become one, divine union. And when that divine union is there, then there is no ego, there is no duality. From that duality, they become non duality, and that is a time to conceive. For that, astronomical help can be taken as well. The timings for this type of union, they are available. In which days it should be done, it should not be done, in which time it should be done, it should not be done. And accordingly, the child should be conceived. That's number one on conceiving part. Then the growth of the child. So the 9 months it's going to remain in mother's womb. So what mother is going to experience, it will have effect on the child. How mother has her body, how mother has her thinking, how mother has her emotions, they will have an effect. So if mother can live in this duration in isolation and working on herself, they will imprint in the child. So in the divine childbirth process, there should be institutions, gurukuls, places for divine childbirth where all infrastructure is available. Mother can go through the holy scriptures and practice those, recite them, apply them in her life, and have that way of thinking. So that will get imprinted in the child. The nutrition is equally important as well. The exercise is equally important. And what exercise, I mean from aerobic side or from the stretching side, can be done, and those are also clearly defined. So those will also play a role. So overall well-being, overall health of the mother, from the body, from the mind, from the emotions. Um, when I say mind, mean from the thoughts and from the emotions perspective. Both are important. So once mother has completed the 9 month cycle and is going to have the baby, and that is another critical time to give a natural birth. In the hospitals, the birth which is taking place is because doctor don't want any kind of risk, so they use a lot of chemicals, injections, and that has effect on the child. In the natural birth, the placenta and embryo, actually when there is a birth there are these two births, and generally they are cut with a seizure. In natural birth they are not cut. It remains for number of days, nearly like 4 days or so, and then it become dry and then it can be taken out. So then the child does not have that shock. With the shock it learns, or the fear goes deep down in the child. So that should be avoided, and there should be mechanism, centers to be developed where the natural pregnancy uh, can take place. Natural birth can take place. The government should bring a scheme in which hospitals, every hospital should have, instead of the birth related to modern science, how it used to be in the nature. The facility should be there for that as well. A policy change on this brings a fundamental or a revolution on the whole nation side. The United Nations should also recommend it to various government, how practically it can be done. A whole lot countries may like to do it, but they may not know how to do it. So a prototype from us can be provided, or there are number of places who has child's natural birth specialization. They can produce, and this open source work can be brought it together, and a common framework can be developed on natural birth in different countries, different cultures, different traditions, and that would be a significant help. Once the birth is taken place, then comes the how systematically we'll make the child how to repress, how he starts to learn holding, and that repression leads him to not to remain expressive, that leads him to limit his or her potentials. Slowly the ego is built in the child. What child sees, the child is learning from the parents, from the family, from the society. Whatever is going on around, that will come, but that would be difficult to change. But as much it can be done, it should be done. First thing what we give to the child is a name. For a long time, child does not associate with itself that he's Ram, Shyam, Mohan, Krishna. The child will the psychologists say that for a number of months he does not will call himself herself as the name, but even he's hungry, then say the stomach is hungry. He'll indicate like that. Over a period of time, the child get used to it and associate that I am Ram. So that's basically the appearance called Ram, but then that association becomes that I am Ram. And this is the first divide between others and the child. Then these are my parents and these are others' parents. So that differentiation, that divide, that this is mine, this is others. Then these are my brothers, sisters, and these are others. And then it goes on further to its relatives, its caste, its religion, its state, or the nation, or the race, or the male or female, the gender. Number of different ways from being one, we become many. And we keep dividing ourselves. So that in the very beginning, parents should teach to the child not to let the child get into this trap. And then comes the part of education. The education is that which liberates. The education is that which brings utmost flowering to our being. But what is happening to the child, whatever the child has, as you rightly said, it's going reverse. The more godliness becomes more devilness. The godliness start to reduce as the age increases or the education increases. It is very surprising to see that the nation which has more education institutions, more people liberated, literacy, actually they are not liberated, they are literate. So the literacy has increased, but those countries has more mental health issues than the one where literacy rate is lower. I met a number of different tribes of living in jungle. So in Andaman Nicobar Dweep in India, or our Nagaland side of the India, or in Maharashtra, the Satpura side, these tribal people are so ecstatic, they dance so intensely, they jump, I mean, like 4 feet so easily. So strong in their body, not cunning, And other side we see our literate child, they are looking lost, just playing some games and mobile games or some computer games, or they forgot actually real playing, forgot to be in nature, just busy on their smartphones. And that kind of growth is it's not a growth, it's a distraction. It's taking them downward. So this education should change in the world, and the education should become the one which liberates us. The education should be the one which develops a child to its fullest potential in all dimensions, not only of the child but also of the society. That would change things significantly. There should be one period in the education system which teaches children how to live life as per their age group, whatever can be transmitted in uplifting their life, uplifting their childness, uplifting their childish behavior to godly behavior. That type of education should be there at least one period. Second, there should be integration of anything the child is studying. In the study, it should have relevance with the life, that how it contributes in the life. Third, these unnecessary curriculum, which has no importance these days, that should be removed. Fourth, all these histories, whoever wants to learn, they can learn optionally. There are these artificial intelligence software available now, the chat GPT or so many other artificial intelligence tools, to give them history knowledge whenever whoever needs they can have. If history should be taught, then it should be taught of the awakened being, it should be taught of the poets, it should be taught of the social reformers who brought real change, not of the so called Alexander the Great. I would call Alexander the mass murderer. Those should not be taught. There should be footnote about them in some history books that they had some psychological mental problems and they did the mass murdering of the beings. The education should be practical, as much possible practicality. So that will bring the child from more, right now they are into mind, to the at least to the body, and the usability of that knowledge. That is the most important one. That whatever is being taught is usable. Like there is no need of teaching like who developed electricity or who developed airplane or train or some tube light or all those things. What one need to know is how to fix the electricity, how to do little farming and produce its own food, how to uh, do his day-to-day work. Those are the teaching should be part of the curriculum, not burdening them with this unnecessary information. that would set the child towards its real growth. The education system should be like how it used to be in the Gurukul times. In the nature, there should be boarding schools available where which are like a Gurukul, where there is a holistic development of the child, and for 25 years they live there, and then they come and serve humanity or get into the worldly things. That could change substantially. I mean, there are certain problem happens and some abuses happen. That doesn't mean that that education system is flawed. The boarding school type, which looks, I mean, which can have the philosophy of how the Gurukuls were, that should come part of as a policy, and more of those institutions comes into the play. The taxpayers' money should go into developing them. Then institutions where which are competition driven, and the competition is creating jealousy and hatred and unrest. A, it is creating a race towards like going ahead of others in the things which they don't need. That should be fixed. So by having all these things from before birth to conceiving the child to taking care when the child is in the womb, and then having a natural birth, and then growth of the child, and then before he goes to the school, having the school system which is the real education, not the current education which is uneducation, and developing gurukuls type of systems. That would be a big blessing. Then our children can be saved, then nobody can corrupt them, no politician, no religious leader, no film star, no influencer, because they would know what to do themselves than somebody else influencing them. Enough for today.